All right. So, guys, welcome to the AI Hub for the month of July. And today we're going to talk about two main things. And what I'm going to do is let me share with you guys the agenda for the time here, just so you can see. Um, we're going to talk briefly about building your own custom GPT, which I know we've addressed before, but I get a lot of people still asking me to show you how to do that. And so we'll talk about that. And then we're going to talk about SEO versus AI search and what's different, what's similar, things like that. So that is the outline for what we'll be talking about today. And then I do want to ask at the very end if any of you plan on going to the marketing certification school in Savannah at the end of the year, or if you plan on going to the council conference in San Diego in March of next year. So, because I do have some ideas for sessions, and it'd be cool to submit some sessions, with one of you. We could do like a co-presentation or something like that. So, anyway, we'll save that till the end here. So, let me start off with this. So if there's one thing in your marketing outreach that you could automate right now, what would it be? If it could, of everything that you're doing,
Reporting.
reporting,
Hmm.
and was that Jennifer that said that?
Yes.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hello.
Okay, reporting. And is that because when you say reporting, is it that you not only are using, the big digital platforms, Google, Meta, TikTok, whatever, which usually pretty easily accomplished with APIs, but that you're also using like local media vendors like TV and they're giving you reports, and radio and they're giving you reports, and you're having to push everything together every month, or
Yeah, so we have unfortunately we do not have like one large automation platform where we have kind of everything feeding into it and we can see it
Mhm.
all from a bird's eye view, if you will.
Mhm.
We're hopefully getting to that point, but we just are not there right now. So now what our process looks like is for every vendor we have, for every platform we have, we are getting individual reports for everything, and everybody's individual reports looks different. It's set
Oh,
up different. Things are, vocabulary is different. And so we're having to, and I say we're having to, we don't do this as much as we should because it is such a time suck for us. Um, to be able to look at everything from like a large overview, kind of holistic view, and see just really what everything looks like, what do our numbers look like, how are we doing with individual campaigns and ads and with individual vendors as they compare to other vendors, so on and so forth. We would have to do all of that manually.
oh man.
I have started to try and use AI to kind of compile some of
Mhm.
these. And obviously, without any sort of like formal automation platform, there really isn't a good way, as far as I'm aware, to automate all of that. But figuring out a way to utilize AI kind of as we're talking through this to make that a little bit easier.
Yeah, I would imagine these reports are all PDFs, and some of them have graphics on them and things like
Some
that.
are,
Are they spreadsheets
some are
or?
spreadsheets.
Okay.
Some of the spreadsheets have, you know, half a dozen to a dozen different tabs with different information on it.
Yeah.
Some of the information is redundant. Some of it is not necessarily, I don't want to say not important, but like it's okay, it's good to know, but it's not really what we're talking about or reporting on to executive board. So yeah, just being able to like come up with some sort of system to kind of take all of this, put it, mash it together, figure out what is the important pieces that we need to know and kind of pull them out into like one overall report that we can talk to.
Yeah, man, how much time are you spending on this every month?
Um, Not a lot because it's so, the times that I've tried to do it, it is so kind of all consuming that I just don't have time.
Oh,
We just
yeah.
don't have the time. We don't have the manpower. So reporting, I say kind of in quotation marks, is a very big hole for us right now. And I guess luckily for us, it's not something that we're getting asked about a whole lot because it's just not been something that they've been looking at or we've tried to talk to
Yeah.
too much. So and I come from a much larger FI background. I come from the bank side. This is my first foray into a like the credit union side. So I'm used to something that's more formal, more robust, a bit of a bigger deal. I don't want to say a bigger deal, but something that there is an expectation that reports are provided on from a month to month basis.
Yeah.
So we're lucky in that sense, but it's something that I would like us to really get better about. So really, any ideas sans a full automation platform that integrates all of these different platforms into one um, would be great. Any ideas?
Okay. Well, and that is a pain point, especially when because not all reporting can be put together. Like, for example, even if you're using an API aggregated report, like we're big fans of agency analytics that could push all of that together. But what about like radio? That's kind of a bit of an outlier. And I don't mean like
Right.
I don't mean Spotify, Pandora, because so there's some really cool platforms that can run. Like one, we're big fans of StackAdapt, and StackAdapt is a DSP that can run Pandora and Spotify, and almost more importantly, StackAdapt can connect to agency analytics. So not only can you get those ads, but it still goes into one report. And so it just makes your lives a lot easier. That said, have you ever tried to upload CSVs into, I mean, are you using GPT or Copilot or something?
Yeah, GPT. And yes,
Okay.
I've uploaded spreadsheets and stuff. I've had to be really careful with that because obviously we have a PII insurance
Right.
policy kind of. So there's a requirement on my end to make sure that I'm going into these spreadsheets and even the PDFs and stuff and making sure that there's no, PII being included in that, which just adds to the time that it
It does,
takes.
but I would think that it'd be very rare for any PII to be there, especially if this information is coming from ad platforms that their default is no PII, unless you had a very sophisticated pixel that aligns ad click to a funded loan and that person's name, which
Hmm.
very few credit unions do that. Okay, well, that's great. One more person, and then we'll hop right into it here. Is there something that if you could have it automated, what would it be within marketing? Aside from automatic yeses to all of your ideas.
If nobody else
And an
has one, I have
automatic
an
piggy
idea.
bank that has all the money we need in it.
That too.
I'll say content operations.
Okay. And when you mean content, are you talking blog post creation, video creation? Um,
Yeah, I would say that's fair. Like that's getting into the specific tactics, but everything from, quality briefs, direct marketing plans, all sorts of stuff like that. I mean, I feel like we tend to spend a lot of time in the planning phase and end up not leaving ourselves enough time in the execution and development
Yeah.
phase.
Okay. Hmm. And when you say briefs, is that more for marketing strategies that you're presenting to the board, things like that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And with a show of hands, whether a real hand or the digital little yellow hand, how many people here are using Copilot as your primary LLM? We got Seth. Okay. How many are using ChatGPT as your primary? One. And I can't tell if Jennifer's
Me.
raising her hand. Oh, there we go.
Sorry, I don't know how to virtually raise my hand.
That's all good. Michael, what about you? What are you using?
Started off with chat, and I don't know if I was just impatient, and then I actually saw the Claude commercials.
Okay.
And so that kind of helped influence me that. And so that's the one I use most consistently.
Nice. Okay. So usually, like when I do sessions for credit union marketing sessions, or when I do topics, I usually use ChatGPT for this. I've always used ChatGPT mainly because it has about 70% market share, although that statistic came from about 6 months ago. And yeah, Anthropic slash Claude has dramatically shifted the market. So they probably no longer have 70%, but they are still the dominant LLM. So of those of you that have ChatGPT, have you set up a custom GPT before?
We actually, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
That's actually what interested me about this particular session. Our company just kind of decided to move forward with the subscription. And so we are looking to kind of see what we can get out of that company wide.
Mhm.
So we're definitely looking up to set up some custom options.
Sweet. Okay. Well, I think with that, we can hop into what a custom GPT is and why you should look into that. And then I'm going to show you how to set it up. So let me share my screen. Okay, here we are. Does everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Okay. So the only catch to what I'm going to show you is that you have to be on the paid tier of ChatGPT. So you have to be paying a whopping $20 a month for this to apply. So if you've been on the one using free ChatGPT, this could be a reason to pay 20 bucks for maybe like 2 or 3 months to test out, is a custom GPT worth it for me? And then you can always downgrade back to free, but the cost is pretty low. So the simple question is, why a custom GPT versus simply using ChatGPT to, put any prompt in there? And that is because if you just prompt it, ChatGPT is going to base the answer off of past prompts. If you're in the same text or email or prompt chain, it's going to base on what you've already talked about and things that you've said in the past. But largely, it's going to go to the internet, and it's going to go to other places to formulate its answer. By creating a custom GPT, instead, you're giving it guide rails of reference these documents, reference these brand guidelines, whenever you're creating content, for example, for me, things like that. And so the benefit, of course, is you get better results faster with a custom GPT. So let's hop in. So the way you get there is right here. You see GPTs. So you click on this. And what you're going to see is these are GPTs that have been created by just different people, and they're free to use. And again, you could look at a custom GPT as specific guide rails. So if you want to use it to create images, you can click on this image generator, and it's going to be better at creating the kinds of images. Some of you, I'm sure, have used ChatGPT for like fitness or for even like following a diet plan. And while GPT is great to do that, if you use this one right here, it has more guide rails to give you even better suggestions and things like that. So this is the idea of using a GPT. Now, these are public. Now, you could build a GPT that is private, that is just for you. And this is probably what you guys would do, is create a GPT just for you. And then you can invite team members to your GPT so that for your credit union, hey, I have a marketing department of 3 people, and my SVP of communications also wants to be in there. And in other words, you could send invites to just the people that you want by creating this GPT. So it does not have to be public. Okay, so this is all great, but how do you create your own custom GPT? And so you click on this button up here that says create. Okay, so what you're seeing is a split screen. And the idea is right here is how you build the GPT. And as you build it, this is kind of a preview showing what it's going to look like. So we're really going to focus on this side of the screen. Now, for those of you that have never done this before, ChatGPT has an easy button, and that would be this create button. So if you have no idea how to create a custom GPT, it could prompt you. Like you could type in here, hey, I want to create a custom GPT for my credit union that helps me writing blog posts. Like it can help you to do that. But what we're going to show you is if you hit configure, this is going to get more in the weeds as far as customizing the GPT, not just relying on it based on a prompt, but you giving it specific direct input. So you could put a little photo or some kind of image there, name your GPT, and then as far as a description, and this might seem kind of weird, but what I like to do is use ChatGPT to help me fill these things out, because we're going to look at description, we're going to look at instructions. So for example, I'm going to open up another ChatGPT window and say, let's see, why don't we use Jennifer, you're with Credit Union of Georgia, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to create a custom GPT to help me with analyzing my monthly reporting from ad vendors. So give me a description. Okay. And this, we could refine this, but at this point, we'll just cut and paste what it says. But this GPT helps Credit Union of Georgia analyze monthly reporting from advertising vendors. It reviews campaign performance across channels such as Google, Meta, display, video. It identifies key trends, summarizes results in plain language, compares performance to prior months, benchmarks. GPT is designed to help the marketing team quickly understand what happened, why it matters, what actions should be considered next. Hey, this sounds pretty good. So what we're going to do is pop that right here in description. Oops, it can't be longer than 300 characters. Should have known that. Oh, Okay, so let's pop this in and then, oh man, it's saying it's still too long. All right, I tell you what, for this, we're just gonna cut that off. Why are you saying it's too long? Okay, this GPT acts as a, all right, 1 second here. Okay, so that's basically what it is. And then, so instructions. What does this GPT do? How does it behave? What should it avoid doing? So the description is not as important as the instructions. So let's then say, give me instructions for this. And I definitely fat fingered this a bit, but luckily GPT knows what I'm saying. So, okay. You're a digital marketing analyst. Your job is to review monthly reports for advertising vendors, turn them into clear, useful insights for the marketing team, analyze reports from all these channels, focus on KPIs like clicks, CTR, CPC, so click-through rate, cost per click, cost per meal, conversions, blah, blah, blah. Use plain language when possible. Organize your response using this structure. So this is a good starting point. You might have something better that you want to use, like organize it differently, things like that. But for now, let's go ahead and just, we'll take here. We'll take that and pop it there for instructions. Conversation starters. So this is like when you log into GPT, sometimes like popular searches, you could click them to get started. These are not necessary, so we'll skip them for now. But the main focus of ChatGPT, custom GPTs, and what distinguishes them from just simply using prompts in addition to instructions is this knowledge base. And so when you click this button, this allows you, you guys can't see this, but it my desktop folder popped up. So if I have PDFs saved of my brand guidelines, then I could put them into the knowledge base. One thing that, and this aligns with what Dan was asking as far as content creation. Sometimes it's easy to spot AI written copy because it just sounds kind of AI-ish. It doesn't sound like your brand. And so one way to get around that is, let's pretend that you have a lot of video of different people, like whether it's people talking about your products and people talking about your credit union. You could take transcriptions of those videos and put them all into one document and PDF it, and then upload it here to your knowledge base. And it will use that as your brand tone, because these are people talking on behalf of your credit union. So, hey, this is how I want you to sound. Brand guidelines is another huge one. And this is something that we found early on, that GPT, especially for knowledge base, has a hard time with images. So if some of you have brand guidelines that were designed by an agency, let's say, or a designer for you, it's going to be very image heavy. Like, it's going to show your primary 6 colors. It's going to show your logo, and here's how you should use it. Here's not how you should use it. And all of that's really helpful from a visual design perspective. But we found that GPT sometimes has a hard time saving visual documents within your knowledge base. So what's ideal is if you have a text version of your brand guidelines. For example, instead of showing you the color swatches of your 5 main colors, have the RGB color codes for those so that it still knows what they are, but you've converted it to text. This is a game changer, because again, what you're showing it is, this is what we're about. This is our brand guidelines. This is our brand feel, our brand tone. This is what our brand sounds like with transcriptions of videos. Another big one, and this would be really helpful for Jennifer, is you could put CSVs of successful campaigns within this. Hey, here is a CSV of our Google Ads campaign for the last 3 years. Help us to understand what is successful, when is it successful, because we all know there's seasonality to your marketing outreach. What should we focus on in what times of year? All of these insights a custom GPT can help you with. And I've been talking for a bit. Does anybody have any questions or anything they want to ask? No, you're just blown away. You're blown away. Okay, no problem. Getting down, this is the last part of the custom GPT is, okay, once you've named it, you've given it a description, you've given the instructions for what this GPT is doing, you've uploaded documents to define your knowledge base so that its answers are going to be much more informed moving forward than just simply using ChatGPT. Lastly, you're going to go into capabilities. And so this is telling it, okay, when I give you a prompt, these are the resources you're going to consider. In addition to the instructions and knowledge base, will you allow it to search the web? This is a big one. And if you don't check this, basically what you're saying is just use the instructions, use the documents I've uploaded, which is usually not enough for it to give you any kind of well thought out answer. So we usually leave this checked, allowing it to search the web, because that is a big part of any LLM right now. Any answer they give you is generated partly by what they find with search engines. Another is image generation, and that's what these are both related to. So if you're going to use this primarily, like for Jennifer, who would use this for reports, you technically don't need this checked, but the way that we look at it is it doesn't hurt if it's on, if you don't use it to create imagery. Sometimes you might though, like you could say, hey, create a bar graph to illustrate this point of comparing these data sets together. So just an example of why you would want these turned on. And then last but not least, code interpreter data analysis is exactly as it sounds. If you're going to use this to compare CSV data sets together, then you obviously want this checked. So once this is all set, you're going to see it being built right here for all of this, including even if you add an image or some kind of photo. Once you create it, you then get the option of sharing it with people on your team, things like that. But that's really the gist of what a custom GPT is. And like, for example, this is a custom GPT that we created for the hub. And these are the conversation starters. But yes, so there's a ton of, so if I were to show you the guts of how we've built this. So we have some documents that we've popped in here, the models that we're using. And so this is what it would look like if you were building it yourself. Okay, I want to make sure I haven't heard from anybody for a bit. So have I lost you? Are you tracking with me? What do you think?
You may have mentioned this earlier, but are you able to do that within the free version, or is this a paid feature?
It is a paid feature.
Okay.
So it's $20 a month. So, it's paid, but it's not expensive. So my recommendation would be, if you're using the free tier, to upgrade to the paid and give it a runway of like 2 months and see, like, look at the quality of the responses that you get with a custom GPT versus the free tier to determine if you want to keep it going. Jennifer, and also Alex, did that, I'm sorry, Alexi, did that help you guys at all with what you were thinking?
Yes, I'm actually going through and kind of doing it myself now.
Okay.
So
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just gonna say, I really appreciate this because one of the things I love ChatGPT, but one of the things I hate is that it sounds like ChatGPT. I can point it out, and of course, like I'm in marketing, so I can point it out on any social media post, any blog, and that's the last thing that I want for our brand. So it's nice that you can customize it like that.
You can, and it's probably still not going to get it immediately, but it learns, and that's the whole point.
Right.
And that's what the point of a custom GPT. And you could start to get creative on giving it more documents that reflect your brand tone better. Um, and by the way, this is recorded. Every hub session is recorded, and we email it to everybody, usually the next day. So you could then stop and start this video at your pace as you build your custom GPT yourself. And of course, we're always here if you get stuck or have any questions. Anybody else have any input or any thoughts about the custom GPT side of things before we transition to SEO AI search? Okay. All right, so SEO and AI search. So to start it off, SEO is search engine optimization, and simply put, they are tactics to convey your relevancy to Google so that Google in turn, or search engines in turn, rank you ideally on page 1 for all of the keywords that you want to appear for. That is SEO in a nutshell. And it's a big deal because all of you are paying for ads. And if you were to pay for ads for 70% of the traffic to your site, your ad budget would go up by 50x just to synthesize the amount of organic traffic that your sites are getting now. So that's why it's important to focus on ranking for various search terms for your products. AI search is similar in that, well, I think the best way to say is 3 years ago, Google was the king of the mountain when it comes to search. Everybody uses Google. The numbers were approximately 89 to 90% of people that use the internet use Google as their primary search engine. And then I think Bing was around 8%, and then DuckDuckGo and Yahoo and had tiny slices of the pie. Fast forward 3 years, and some estimate that Google has lost up to 30% of search volume, which is dramatic. It's dramatic. And they've lost it to LLMs, language learning models, or different AIs, ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, Copilot, things like that. And so over 3 years, which is lightning speed, people are now wondering, like, okay, like we're ranking pretty well in Google, but like, how do I get mentioned in AI search? And so there are some tactics that are very similar or the same that apply to SEO and apply to AI search, but there are some tactics that are different when it comes to AI search. And so that's what I want to really focus on. So before we hop into that, is anybody here doing SEO right now for their credit union?
Yes.
Okay.
One of my team members, one of my employees manages our SEO actively.
Okay. Great. And I would imagine that there's reporting, possibly like a rank tracking kind of like, hey, we were, we were on page 4 for these keywords and now we're on page 1. Like, in other words, they're showing you progress, things like that.
Correct.
Okay. And is that the same for you, Michael, that you've got some kind of tracking on that?
Yep. Trying to use SEMrush to the best of my abilities, and then I also use Google Search Console
Okay,
quite a bit with its
great.
free features.
Yes. Yeah, Search Console is great too. Okay. And so there's a lot of different things to do when it comes to SEO. There's 3 separate categories of SEO. So there's technical SEO, which focuses on your website, how search engines see your website, how quickly your website loads, things like that. So that's technical SEO. Then there's on-site SEO, which is the copy that's on your site, the UX of the user experience of your site. So oftentimes you'll see blog posts being written because it's a way to get the keywords that you want to rank for, fresh content on your site continually, which is a big hallmark of a credit union SEO campaign. And then so there's technical on-site, and then there's off-site SEO, which is the acquisition of backlinks, which of course is one website linking to your website. And usually you try to get very relevant sites to show that you're very relevant for auto loans or for mortgages. And so that could be prominent nationally or regionally based websites linking to your auto loans page, your mortgage page, things like that. So those of you running SEO, are you doing all of those things right now, or is there certain facets that you're focused on over others?
Mostly just myself, more so of the on-site. Some of the technical aspects get a little bit
Mhm.
above my current understanding, and then the off-site here and there, with other local partnerships, but that hasn't been the most primary focus out of the 3.
Yeah. We found that one thing that credit unions don't need a ton of help with are backlinks. The average credit union that will look at, under the hood for, say, SEMrush or an SEO software like that. I mean, the average credit union has thousands, I mean, sometimes over 10,000 backlinks because, you've been around since, like, the newest credit union has been around since like the 60s. The oldest has been around since what, the 10s or the 20. In other words, you guys are a huge piece of the fabric of your community. So by nature of that, you get a lot of backlinks, and they're very effective at establishing you in Google's eyes. So it's a big ranking factor when it comes to SEO. If you push it over to AI search, are any of you doing any kind of AI search optimization? Some people call it AEO, which is agentic engine optimization, or GEO, generative engine optimization. But what it means is AI search tactics. Like, are you doing anything to try to be mentioned with AI right now?
We are, yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we use a program called Paraloom, and it's fantastic. You put in like what you want to write an article about, and it pulls up suggestions and keywords based on what people are searching for on ChatGPT. So it's the same premise as SEO, except we're just kind of basing it off what AI is suggesting,
Okay.
and it's worked pretty well for us.
All right. And you call it what? Paraloom?
Yes.
Is that PARALOOM?
Yes. Let me look and make sure they have yep, it's Paraloom.
Hmm.
Yeah, so you can set up prompts and you can run reports, and it'll tell you however often you run the prompts where you're landing. So we'll say, best credit union in our county, or
Yep.
best auto loan options in Pennsylvania, and it'll pull up what AI is suggesting to people, and then suggestions on how to get ours to rank higher than other people's.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. And then I think Jennifer, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just saying we do. We do not use Paraloom, but I'm literally sending the link to one of my employees who works on our SEO right now for her to look at. But no, we focus on, or one of the areas that we're focusing on is AI, and we try and keep up with and look at our AI visibility score, our AI search health score. And we try and make sure that as we're working through different updates to our website and things like that, and even like blog posts, that we are making sure that we're writing them in ways that AI picks up. Like, for example, in blog posts, as far as we learned, AI typically likes to pick up, particularly when you're like Google searching and you get the AI generated response, which
Mhm.
most people are looking at kind of first.
Right.
One of the best ways to get mentioned and pulled in there is if your information asks a question and then answers it and is typed in that way, or like written
Right.
in that way. So we've shifted even our like educational blogs and like our educational pieces on our website and things like that to trying to make sure that we're figuring out what are the common questions that are being asked about this specific subject or this specific product or whatever, and then answering that question so that it gets pulled in from AI as a recommended response, a recommended answer to those questions. If that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yeah. Anybody else? Anybody else doing anything when it comes to AI search? Yeah, one thing I shared last month, and I think I'll go ahead and share it again here. Share my screen. So this is really, really cool for those of you that haven't seen this, but Google, this is on google.com, just released this. It's been not quite a month on optimizing your website for generative AI features. Yes, it's for Google. So, Gemini, does it 100% apply to Claude and ChatGPT? Maybe not 100%, but Google is still the king when it comes to search. And so let me go ahead and throw this in the chat here. So you guys have this. Okay. I just threw this link I was sharing in chat. But there's a lot of myths that it dispels. And this is not a very long article, which is kind of cool. But if you scroll down to the bottom, this was something that I shared last time. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen for those of you that aren't looking at that. But if you scroll close to the bottom, there's a section that says myth busting generative AI search. And the chunking content is big because a lot of SEOs were thinking like, okay, we need to write in little bite-sized bits because it allows AI to, there's a higher probability of AI grabbing and citing the content on our site if we write it in little bite-sized bits. And that has been the predominant focus of AI search for the last couple of years. And so Google is basically saying, no, there's no requirement to break it into pieces for AI to better understand it. Google systems are able to understand the nuance of multiple topics on a page and show relevant piece to users. However, sometimes shorter or longer exclamation point pages can work well depending on your audience and subject matter. there's no ideal page length. And in the end, make pages for your audience, not just for generative search. So that's one thing that was a big aha moment to us, because we generate a lot of content, and a lot of it is, okay, 30% of the market is shifted, and we want to ensure that our copy is always going to rank. Another big difference between writing copy for SEO and writing copy for AI search is, over the last 20 years, as we've grown into working in our careers and just simply using Google, you have learned to search just the most important words. So for example, if you're looking for a dentist, your search is not going to be, help me find the best dentist that's the closest to my house. No, your search in Google would probably be dentist near me, right? Like, in other words, you've realized, like, okay, I need to take what I really want and then just narrow it down to the most important words to give Google what it needs to find something. AI search is the exact opposite. Dentist near me is okay, but you want to rank for, like, find a dentist that's closest to me, that has the most reviews, most 5-star reviews on Google, that specializes in braces, because I'm probably going to need braces, or Invisalign braces. Like, making that prompt ultra specific. And then of course, over the last couple of years, that your results are going to be that much more targeted based on a very detailed prompt. So searching on Google is, we've been conditioned to just do very minimal keywords, versus using AI search is very lengthy. And so Google, for its life, has always said, write for humans, write for humans, write the way people want to see. But then we see on the flip side, like, well, if you have a lot of keywords in there, we see it magically rank higher, which, okay, are we writing for humans, or are we writing so that Google can rank it higher? Well, now with AI search, it is all in when it comes to writing in a human tone for humans, going in depth on seemingly unimportant things, but just to show that this is a human writing. This is the difference when it comes to copy with SERT SEO in mind versus AI search in mind. And not worrying that, oh my gosh, I've just written 7 paragraphs, about my dentistry and the things that we do, about Invisalign, and some reservations I have, but ultimately why I really like it. AI is going to find that, and AI is going to cite that. And any thoughts about that? I just want to keep talking. So any thoughts about the examples of SEO versus AI search? One thing I'll throw out, and I think it was Alexi that uses Paraloom. And Paraloom is I haven't heard of it. There's a lot of different softwares. But one thing that we are really trying to find, and that doesn't quite exist yet, is a software that can track all of the mentions of your brand. There are softwares that track mentions of your brand in AI, but not exhaustively. In other words, hey, if somebody says, I'm looking for a great HELOC from a locally based banking institution, if it cites your credit union in that search, if they click on the link from that search to your credit union, then you can track that click, that UTM click. That's easy to track from AI to your website. Your Google Analytics can track that right now. But if it's simply just a citation that says, let's say it's link one, they say link one credit union has great rates. If they don't click on that, it's difficult to know that, let's say it was ChatGPT, that ChatGPT recommended you there. There's listening device, and that's what a lot of these softwares like Paraloom, we use Search Atlas as another one. Another one is SEMrush, SEMrush has a AI analyst like that you could add on, but none of these track 100% of the mentions. And so it's tough because it used to be like, well, we're tracking rankings, which are great to show like keyword rankings and how, oh, we're boosting keywords, because we know if we're ranking higher for, let's say, HELOCs and mortgages, well, chances are it's going to be cited more with AI, because when they search for this stuff on search engines, they're going to find, your pages because they're ranking higher. But we're all wanting the confirmation on the AI side of things. And so right now, we're in the infancy of reporting softwares being able to track all of those citations. Anybody else using anything to track AI search mentions? Well, so this is where it's at. I mean, and this is, I would hope, why you guys are a part of the AI Hub, is that, we are trying to figure all of this out and sharing with everybody what's working, what isn't, because this is what it's really all about, is quantifying the work that everybody's doing. Because of course your boards are asking, okay, what, how is this going? How is this campaign going? And you want to be able to convey to them, look, we're seeing growth in this area. And it's kind of a crazy thing. If you were to go into Google Analytics, which I'm sure many of you do, and see the amount of traffic that AI is referring to you, it's growing exponentially every month. And that's a big, big thing. So anyway, I definitely encourage everybody here to hop into analytics if you haven't, or haven't in a while, and see how much traffic GPT, Copilot, Gemini, how much traffic these AIs are pushing to your website. Because it's gonna, if you haven't seen it, it's gonna open your eyes to be like, well, this is great because this didn't exist before. So how do we get more of this? Because ultimately, you're reaching more people in your communities to become members of your credit union. I know we only have a minute left. Any thoughts, any questions, anything that you want to throw out here? All right, well, next month, again, I'm just going by the emails and responses I'm getting. It looks like quite a few of you wanted us to talk more about website optimizations and websites that convert traffic, because of course, half the battle is getting people to your site, whether through SEO, AI search, or paid ads, or any other way. But the other half is converting them into new members. And so definitely come ready to talk about that. What's working, what's not, what you've tried. And definitely the goal is to convert more members for you guys here in the summertime. So that is July's AI Marketing Hub, guys. Thanks again for your time. We definitely value everybody on this call, and share this with one person if you really want to, spread the love to other people. I didn't get to the whole, I know I wanted to talk about the upcoming sessions for CUNA, or make that America's Credit Unions. We'll address that at the beginning of August session. So, all right, guys, we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, bye.